Reddit. What was your biggest "this is probably illegal" moment? Wanted to do some abandoned building exploration and my buddy said he knew a good spot. So we scheduled a night and met up. Walked through some woodsy area and appeared at a train track. Across from the track was a factory looking building that didn't look very abandoned and had outdoor lights. I said, dude, I thought this was supposed to be an abandoned building. He said, well, you know, it's abandoned at night. Q this is probably illegal. What is a bummer is how even abandoned buildings, depending on what they used to be, are off limits still. I always had fun trying to find places, and if you live in a rural area you can occasionally find them out in the country. A little less worry about security alarms. I work at a local fast food restaurant. I never signed a contract. I get paid in cash. The health certificate stashed at the back reads expired July 2013. I'm thinking there might be something wrong with this place. Don't volunteer to do the manager a favor and start the insurance fire for him. I found fanfiction erotica at a young age and read through all of my pairing of interest. It was late at night, no one else was awake, and it was all dark. My chair creaked when I moved closer to read it and I was just thinking, frick, the cops are gonna come and get me now. Similar story to this. In 8th grade some friends and I were in the band and found some erotica backstage where we were playing a performance. I brought it home and secretly read some select parts. Then I put it in the bin of books in my English class that got circulated to every other English class because I thought it would be hysterical. In high school I learned about fermentation. I bought a yeast packet, dumped it into a bottle of apple cider, and stashed it under my bed. It was gross. But in about 2 weeks it was fermented and I drank every bit thinking I was getting away with murder. My high school teacher for AP Bio basically taught us fermentation the exact same way. He wasn't technically advocating underage drinking, but he pretty much was. When me and my friends from high school made enough thermite to melt a tea kettle. Also we made some concoction later that involved using iodine. Apparently you can't buy iodine in bulk without being watched by the FDAD. So there were 3 of us, each bought a separate bottle. Stole an orange traffic cone with friend one night after school. We nabbed one from a nearby roadworks and celebrated with ice cream. Later she texted me telling me she'd put the cone back after suffering a mild anxiety attack. I've done that too and I brought mine home. Now I put it in front my house so no one parks there. My friend showed me that if you kick a street lamp in the right place, it shuts off or goes very dim for a while, then it pops back on. So me and my friend ran through a park kicking every lamp post, making the whole park dim and eerie in the winter. Probably haven't done anything crazier than that. I live a wild life. Oh, and driving by yourself for the first time after you got your license. Feels like you're doing everything wrong. Teach me your ways. Really drunk in college. Became aware that I was climbing from an apartment building's 2nd story deck to the 3rd story deck in order to steal a Hobby Lobby decorative snowman. Accidentally made an insider trade. Acted on some unpublished info without knowing it hadn't been published and BAO, federal offense. Kayaking with friends and we ended up at the base of the Hoover Dam. There were natural hot springs just around the river bend that we wanted to visit, but the current pulled us too close to the dam. I've looked down from the top of the dam, but looking at it from the base was much more impressive. That sounds somewhat dangerous. Went to Argentina for a month, with school through World Challenge, and while canoeing down the Rio Paraguay we pulled up and hopped onto Paraguay. Because frick customs, that's why. I'm sure the Paraguayans, check em, just said hey, don't do that bro. When my sister and I were kids, we used to play the invisible rope prank on people who would drive by. One time when we did it, a guy told us that someone would get upset and shoot us. So we never did it again out of fear that we were doing illegal stuff. Kids did this to me once and I just pulled onto the side of the road and drove towards the kid. Probably illegal too. Stealing flags from the local golf course in the middle of the night. We were not exciting teens. I did the same. We only did it till we had one of every color. Started a 40+ foot bonfire in the woods of Oklahoma. Thought we were gonna burn okay down. Then I threw a bullet in it and me and my friends hid behind a tractor. I found the redneck driving my dog to the vet after she was attacked by a neighbor's dog. No one was home, so 13-year-old me took my mum's minivan. Edit. Holy crap, did not expect inbox exploding or the gold. Thank you. I dedicate this moment to Sugar, the one-eyed American Eskimo, and to Willow, the Toyota Sienna. Yeah, we named our minivan after a lesbian witch. Deal with it. And so you don't lose sleep, vet checked the dog out. Dog was fine. Just had a limp for a couple days. She lived a wonderful 12 years. Also, this happened in the States, but it was a white dog, so I don't know, maybe the cop would have let us off with a warning? That's a sweet story. If you had gotten pulled over, you would have melted the cop's heart. My friend and I really like building things. Potato gun, blowgun, bow and arrow. Then we try them in a field with nearby houses. Like 200 did. The worst was probably shooting railway snails with the potato gun. Buying multiple pressure cookers at once. I wanted one, my mom wanted one, and we wanted to give 2 different people one as a gift. So I bought 4 of them at the same time online using my debit card. I know I didn't violate any law, but when the shipping was delayed by a couple of days for unknown reasons, I was for sure the government thought I was doing something illegal and I was going to receive a few interesting visits from people in black SUVs. Had you added 4 backpacks, I think that you would have had the SUVs camped outside. Just recently I found a baggie of weed that I had completely forgotten about in my car. Apparently, I had been driving around for months with weed in my car. But now you can smoke your surprise weed. True. Eating a nutmeg muffin while speeding down a motorway. I was wearing shorts and had 3 single women in the car. All of the things I mentioned are illegal in the magical kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The worst being having single woman in the car and the nutmeg muffin. A guy at work told me and some other colleagues that a friend of his worked at a warehouse and was going to take some laptops from a consignment. So did any of us want one so he could get rid of them? I said yes, not really thinking about anything but the opportunity to get a good laptop for a cheap price and assuming that it must be courtesy of an employee discount or something like that. It wasn't until a few days later that I suddenly realized that his friend was just going to steal the laptops. I made my excuses and opted out, but I still don't know how I could have been so naive. Taking down the Club Penguin website for a few seconds. In its early days, before it was bought out by Disney, by accident, nonetheless, but it was a bad idea for me to get hundreds of people to go to the website all at once. I once cheated in money for Club Penguin. I was drowning in puffles and guilt when I broke into an abandoned house with 2 of my friends and we climbed out the 2nd story window, sat on the roof, drank beer and looked out over our town. It was awesome. My best friend in high school was 18 and dating a 33-year-old guy. He wound up getting arrested for causing a huge accident while on drugs. When he went to jail, his house was foreclosed on and my friend was freaking out because her Family Guy DVDs were in his house and she had to get them. In the middle of the day on a sunny day, we went to the house, broken through the back window and got the Family Guy DVDs. We knew the whole time it was illegal, but the DVDs were important, I guess. When I was 7 or something, in the middle of the night I just climbed out the window and walked around my neighborhood. Whenever a car came by I would duck into some bushes in case someone saw. At one point a cop car started pulling up near me with its lights flashing. So being the scared 7-year-old I am, I bolt into the nearest house's front yard and hide behind the porch until I realized the cop was pulling up some bogan for having rims bigger than I was. Been on the run ever since. Hiking in a national park. Much younger me stumbles on a patch of obviously tended quality hybrid smoke stuff backpack with all it could hold. As I hiked out I started realizing all the reasons it might have been a bad idea. I changed a classmate's final grade in high school. Back in the early 80s, my friend was a computer whiz and I was a break-in expert. Never to steal stuff, just to hang out in the school or such. These were old terminals that you sat at and printed out, no monitors. There was one in the guidance office and I noticed they left it on all the time when I was in there about a grade problem. I had my friend write a small program that would create a prompt and then capture whatever was typed in, send it to a dummy account, and log out. I thought the guidance counselor would type the password at the prompt to log in. This would send it to our account, and he would just think it didn't work and try it again. Logging in successfully. After school, the computer lab of terminals was open late so you could work on them. We set up our dummy account. I snuck down the hall into the guidance office, opened the door with my trusty break and wire, palms sweaty, set the trap, sneak out. The overnight wait was a long one. We had to survive a whole day of school and wait until it was after hours to access the terminals privately. The password was there, jumping around the room high-fiving and such. I had already decided that we would try to change a grade slightly of someone who would never suspect us. I chose a girl that I knew, and changed her B to a B+. We left and waited a long wait overnight again. We swore that we would not tell anyone so we would not get expelled or worse. The next day it was DEFCON 5 when we arrived at school. People were running in and out of the main computer room with serious and scary faces on. I asked someone what was going on and I felt like I had an I did it tattoo on my forehead. My friend and I tried to talk calmly when we could, but we decided it was too hot. We decided that if they somehow tracked one of us to it and called us into the principal's office, that person would try to say they did it all themselves to save the other. They never caught us. TLDR. I changed a girl's grade in high school with a friend. The school caught the change but not us. DEFCON 5 is actually the lowest state of readiness. 1 is highest. I was literally just dropping a crap off, smoking a bowl, and was thinking about somebody bitching at me about blazing in the crib. Then I thought, I like smoking weed while I crap. Is that a crime? Then I thought, actually, yeah, it probably is. Not actually illegal, but going to trade school and walking around in the hallways with knives, hacksaws, hammers, sharp screwdrivers and pliers just seemed like it shouldn't be allowed in school. When I was in a car with 6 stacks of H high out of my mind with everyone else in it, glad I straightened that part of my life out. He said probably illegal. Good for you though equals. Once upon a time, I worked at Pizza Hut. It was not unusual for me and the other shift manager to blaze up and drink beer. Anyhow, one night we got raging drunk, and then smoked up, and then got the munchies and got into a car to go to Taco Bell. I was sitting shotgun when my friend reached behind his back and dropped his Colt Commander into my lap and asked me to hold it because it hurt the small of his back. So, there we were, drunk, driving, speeding, high and armed. It occurred to me in a moment of clarity that perhaps this was not the most legal Taco Bell run I had ever been part of. So technically then you were sitting handgun not shotgun. I haven't done anything. ATF. I promise. No machine guns here. Nope. No giggle switches. No fun mode. Just your regular old non-gun possessing citizen. ATF is a tax agency, so would they have jurisdiction over something that doesn't leave my property lines? Dude, don't even joke about that crap. BATF will frick your crap up. When I was in high school, I used to borrow CDs from the library and rip them onto my computer. I ended up with about 2,000 songs this way before my dad found out and got all RIAA on me. Drunk in college and drove around stealing people's snowmen and put them upright in the back of my truck. Also the worst, hosted a party at a nightclub and drove my radio station van back. Woke up the next day wondering how I got home. When I went to the radio station the next day, cops were there. Apparently someone tried to tear down the gate and break into the station vehicles. I never said a word. I was 15 driving a station wagon. The owner and his mate were on the roof. They were drunk and thought it was better that I drove as I didn't have a license to lose. We were driving along a highway spotlighting looking for kangaroos to shoot. The gun that was being used was a sawn-off semi-automatic 22 with a silencer, pistol grip and the serial number removed. This equals big trouble down under. I am not sure how long I was driving for before I had the thought that it was a bad idea. I take a narcolepsy med that's a form of GHB. The date rape. I've called it roofies too loud a few too many times at college. I also threatened to date rape my fiance a lot. It's a joke and he knows it. One night when I was in high school, my friends and I drove through 3 different cities looking for construction sites to steal signs and traffic cones from. We then returned to our town with our plunder and proceeded to close off a bridge and set up a detour into some farmer's longboat driveway because, from the street, it resembled a back road. We sat there all night watching people drive up this poor guy's driveway only to have to attempt backing up back down it. That crap was hilarious. I suffer from anxiety, so everything I do is a big "this is probably illegal" moment. Like today, I was playing on a big snow mound with my dog in a parking lot. However, my biggest one was definitely illegal. I left my house past curfew one night with a friend. We went uptown and climbed a fire escape to the roof above the video store and watched the sunrise. It's one of my favorite memories. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.